Hi there, I'm Jen from Grainline Studio, and in this video I'll be showing you a little hot tip I like to use when cutting out jacquard fabrics with long floats, using my serger. I used this technique to cut out this reed skirt from a gorgeous thick jacquard, and it made sewing the skirt panels together a breeze. I didn't have to worry about my seam lines catching every loose string because they were already trapped in my serged edge. Now let's take a closer look at this fabric I used. You can see in the swatch just how long these back floats are. You can see I can actually stick 2 fingers under in some places. If you're unfamiliar with this terminology, a float is the yarn that's carried at the back of the fabric while the opposite color is being used. So here you can see when the black is being used, there's no floats on the back. But here in the green part where there's no black, floats. So they carry the yarn over the back so that it doesn't show up on the front. The problem with cutting arises when we're cutting through the floats. If the edge of the pattern piece crosses the area with the floats, all of those pieces of yarn will now be free to go any which way they please. So if you can see, if we were to cut through our fabric here, we have all these loose threads that we're going to need to catch while we sew. One way to remedy this problem is to trace out your pattern piece. Sew 2 lines of stitching with a small stitch length around the inside edge of the pattern piece to secure the floats, then cut the pattern piece out. This works great, but I like to avoid the extra work of sewing, then cutting by using 2 needles in my serger and having the knife do the cutting for me. You also get a nice covered edge via the looper threads as well, which further helps to keep everything in place. I'll now demo this process using a scrap of fabric I used for my reed skirt and the pocket piece. So for my reed skirt, I had this black line running down the center of my pocket. So I made sure to center my pattern piece, weight it, and then I trace around it. So now you can see the outline of my pocket. While I could cut this out now, it's going to have a lot of these messy floats. So instead what I'm going to do is just free this pattern piece. And then I'm going to head over to my serger. Now here I am over at my serger, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to align my marked edge with the edge of my knife. And this is the cutting edge, which means this will be cutting right along my marked line. I'm not sure if you can tell, but on my serger, there's a small mark on the foot, right where the cutting edge is. So I just have to keep that aligned. The cut edge goes neatly into my cutoff bin, and then we'll continue for the next side. Then again. And you can see how I'm kind of just, for this larger piece, making sure it falls neatly in and doesn't get trapped underneath. our final side. All right, and here you can see just how it caught every thread. The front looks great. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Now, here are a few tips you're going to want to keep in mind as you work so that you get the best result. Test your serger tension ahead of time, making any adjustments you might need. You're going to want to test your differential feed and set it so it's in a neutral position for your fabric. And this will depend on your machine and what fabric you're using. And you can see here what a straight edge we got. If your fabric is bowing out or in, convex or concave style curve, you'll know you need to adjust your differential feed. You'll also want to clear your workstation around your serger to make room for your pattern pieces. On my serger, I have a large table that I can attach, and that helps support the fabric as I cut. If you don't have that, you can stack books or something similar to kind of keep your fabric from collapsing, and remove any excess supplies, fabric, garbage, you know, all that stuff that accumulates around your machines. Remove that so it doesn't get caught, it doesn't catch any of your fabric. And finally, you want to make sure that the cutting edge of your knife, that's this inner edge that's angled down right here, this is the scissor blade, this is aligned perfectly with this notch on your foot because you're going to use this to follow the line you marked. So on my machine, I can move the cutting width over using this dial at the bottom. You can see as I turn it, the knife moves either away or towards this mark. So for me, 6 is 0. So just you want to make sure your knife is aligned with your 0 point. After you've cut your pattern pieces, you're free to sew them together like normal using the instructions in your pattern booklet. You don't need to finish the edges because you've already done that. I don't recommend doing this for fabrics just generally because a lot of times I like to finish the seam allowances together. It just reduces bulk. But this is a great way to trap all these pesky floats. And you can see all of them are just nicely caught on here. And it was really easy to sew together after that. So I hope that this tutorial has helped you think about using your serger in a new way. It's always fun to discover new ways to use the tools you're used to using. And I think this is a really clever and honestly, it's fun. It's a fun way to use your serger. And it's great for your wrist because you're not operating scissors. So give that a try. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments below. And as always, subscribe to our channel so you can get the latest of all of our tutorials, sew-alongs, and anything else we post here. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you back here next time. Bye.